Cristiano Ronaldo has sparked a huge controversy after appearing to accuse FIFA of favoring Lionel Messi. It all started with a single tap on Instagram that quickly exploded into a global story. Let me break it down. Here's what happened. Just before Argentina walked out to face Spain in the World Cup final, Cristiano Ronaldo hit like on an Instagram video. That's it. One tap, but the video he liked wasn't some random highlight reel. It was a clip compiling accusations against FIFA, arguing that the organization had helped Argentina all the way to that final. Ronaldo reignited his long-running rivalry with Messi after reportedly liking an Instagram video accusing FIFA of corruption and claiming the organization helped Argentina reach the 2026 World Cup final. He didn't write a caption, he didn't post a story. The interaction immediately caught fans' attention because Ronaldo did not publicly comment on the explosive allegations. But in 2026, you don't need to say a word. When your thumb does the talking, his apparent approval of the post was enough to thrust him into the controversy surrounding Argentina's tournament run and FIFA's handling of several disputed refereeing decisions. Let's talk about what was actually in that video, because this wasn't some anonymous troll account. A Spanish channel called Espejo Público ran a segment where one of the pundits said Argentina is a team that should have been eliminated about 5 matches ago if not for the help it received from FIFA, calling FIFA one of the most corrupt organizations on earth, and adding he wasn't afraid of Argentina at all. He was afraid of Infantino. That's the line Ronaldo put his name behind. Not with words, with a like. The journalist behind it, Pilar Rodriguez Los Santos, didn't hold back either. She said she didn't think Spain would be playing against Argentina, but against the whole of FIFA, who wanted to hand the World Cup to Lionel Messi. And she doubled down on history too. The journalist also claimed FIFA wanted to hand Messi another World Cup, as she believes happened in Qatar back in 2022. Sitting right next to her, contributor Ruben Amon went even further, describing FIFA as a mafia-like and shameful organization. He didn't stop at the referees either. He took aim at the whole tournament experience, criticizing ticket prices and arguing the World Cup had become something only wealthy fans could afford to attend. So you've got 3 voices hammering FIFA in that segment. One accusing them of corruption and fear of Infantino, one accusing them of rigging it for Messi twice, and one calling the whole operation mafia-like. And Ronaldo liked it, timed right before Messi and Argentina walked into the final. Now, why would this particular post catch Ronaldo's thumb? Rewind 11 days. Accusations that officials favored Argentina intensified after the team's dramatic 3-2 victory over Egypt in the round of 16, when Egypt had led 2-0 before Argentina completed a stunning late comeback in a match that featured multiple disputed calls, including a goal by Mustafa Zico that was overturned following a VAR review, and a late Egyptian penalty appeal that was rejected shortly before Argentina scored the winner. That match had already put FIFA's name in headlines it didn't want. And Ronaldo liking that Instagram post right as Argentina reached the final meant he was tying his name to every bit of that anger all at once. The reaction online was instant. Fans didn't need Ronaldo to type a single sentence. The interaction itself became the story. The interaction has since been interpreted by some fans as a subtle swipe at Messi and the organization governing international soccer. And given who Ronaldo is and who Messi is, that swipe landed with weight nobody else's like button could ever carry. Given Ronaldo and Messi's decades-long battle for soccer supremacy, the interaction carried additional weight. 2 of the greatest players who ever lived, both playing what everyone knew would be their final World Cups. Only one of them was still standing. Both men played their final World Cup tournaments in 2026, but only Messi and Argentina advanced to the championship match, where Spain defeated the reigning champions 1-0 in extra time. Ronaldo was already home. Messi was 1 win away from a 2nd straight title. And in the middle of it, Ronaldo's thumb told the world exactly how he felt about the gap between where he ended up and where Messi still was. That's the shot. That's the moment that had Instagram and every football forum on the planet lit up within hours. But to understand why Ronaldo's thumb landed exactly where it did, you have to go back and look at how his own tournament ended, and just how raw that ending still was. To understand why Ronaldo liked that post, you need to understand what he'd just been through. Portugal's World Cup and Ronaldo's World Cup career ended 11 days before that final. Not with a whimper exactly, but with a stoppage time gut punch that felt like it summed up his entire relationship. With the trophy he never won, Portugal were eliminated by Spain in the round of 16, 1-0, ending Cristiano Ronaldo's World Cup career. The goal came about as late as a goal can come. An emotional Ronaldo said he had a clear conscience as he exited his final World Cup, as Portugal were eliminated 1-0 by Spain in the round of 16, with Spain's Mikel Merino scoring the only goal of the game in the first minute of second half stoppage time. 1 minute, that's how close Ronaldo came to extra time in what everybody knew was his last shot, at the one trophy that's eluded him his whole career. The numbers from that night tell their own story. It was a rather lackluster performance overall from Roberto Martinez's side, in which Ronaldo was emphatically contained by Spain's unspoiled defense, managing just 19 touches across the full game. 19 touches in a World Cup knockout game. At 41 years old, that's what Ronaldo's body gave him to work with, and Spain's backline made sure he didn't get a 20th chance that mattered. What happened after the whistle became one of the enduring images of the tournament. Following the final whistle, a visibly emotional Ronaldo wiped tears from his eyes as he applauded the fans at Dallas Stadium. Spanish papers noticed Madrid's marca ran a headline playing on Merino's name, while as called the Portuguese star's tearful farewell, a powerful historic image. Ronaldo wasn't just losing a match. Everyone in that stadium understood they were watching the door close on something that started 2 decades earlier. He didn't dodge questions afterward either. He stood in front of reporters and gave them the kind of answer you give when you've made peace with something you can't change. He told reporters it was normal, sad, to leave the World Cup like that. But as he'd said the day before at the press conference, he gave it his all, he gave his best, and he leaves with a clear conscience. That's football. That's the life of a footballer. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and it has to move on. Then he added the line everyone had been waiting to hear him actually say. It was my last World Cup, yes, but the rest. He left the sentence hanging, same as he left his Portugal future hanging. A few days later, at a proper sit-down, he filled in a bit more of the picture. The 41-year-old stopped short of confirming whether he had played his final game for Portugal altogether, saying he did not want a personal decision to overshadow the team's campaign, and that he doesn't make decisions in the heat of the moment. But on the World Cup specifically, there was no ambiguity left. That chapter was shut. He didn't leave without reminding everyone what he had actually delivered for his country. Trophy or no trophy, Ronaldo, who helped Portugal win the 2016 European Championship, plus the Nations League in 2019 and 2025, said he was proud of his contribution to the national team, pointing out he'd won 3 titles for Portugal, when before him Portugal hadn't won a single one. He went further, ranking that European Championship right up there, with the trophy he never got his hands on. The biggest title the national team has ever won was in 2016, the European Championship, which, to be honest, is just as significant to me as a World Cup. Numbers-wise, his World Cup resume closed out with a record most players would sign for in a heartbeat, minus the one line everybody remembers him for not having. Ronaldo's FIFA World Cup journey began in 2006. And ended, at least as a player, in 2026. And across 6 tournaments, he finished with 27 appearances and 11 goals, becoming the first player to score in 6 different World Cups. 6 World Cups, 20 years, 11 goals, 0 trophies, with the biggest one still sitting on the table. His manager didn't survive the exit either, and that mattered because it added even more turbulence around Portugal's camp in those final days. Roberto Martinez, the national team manager since 2023, confirmed his immediate resignation following the defeat, acknowledging that his mission to deliver a World Cup title had failed. So in the span of one night, Ronaldo lost his last World Cup shot, his manager quit, and the team he'd carried for 2 decades was staring at a rebuild. The Portuguese Football Federation now faces a critical rebuild under a new coach, with Jorge Jesus widely expected to take over and a long wait until the 2030 World Cup. Now hold that image. Ronaldo in tears, his manager gone. His last World Cup shut at 41, with nothing to show for it but a resume of near misses. Then, 11 days later, Messi is still walking out for a World Cup final. That contrast is the fuel, and it's exactly the moment Ronaldo's thumb found that Instagram post. If Ronaldo's own exit was the spark sitting in his pocket, the Argentina-Egypt game was the match that actually lit it. This is the game everybody points to when they talk about FIFA and favoritism, and it happened just one day after Portugal went home. Here's the setup. Egypt, chasing their first ever World Cup quarter-final, had defending champions Argentina on the ropes. Zico later found the net again, helping Egypt build a 2-0 advantage, and putting the Pharaohs within reach of what would have been their first ever World Cup quarter-final appearance. 11 minutes left, 2-goal cushion. And then it all came apart. Egypt appeared on course for one of the biggest upsets of the tournament, when they led defending champions Argentina 2-0 with 11 minutes remaining, only to concede 3 late goals and crash out. 3 goals in 13 minutes. That's not a collapse, that's a nightmare. And Egyptian football wasn't going to let that game disappear quietly. The disallowed goal is where the fire really started. Much of the controversy centered on a goal by Egypt's Mustafa Zico in the 62nd minute. That would have doubled his side's lead. Disallowed after a VAR review identified a foul by an Egyptian player in the build-up. Then deep into stoppage time, the officials waved away another shout. Egypt's frustration deepened late in the match when their appeals for a penalty after Hamdi Fathi went down under a challenge were waved away, before Argentina went upfield and scored the winner in the 92nd minute. This wasn't just Egyptian fans venting on social media. Actual broadcasters on the call started questioning it in real time. Surely, this is not within VAR's realm to review this. Former England goalkeeper Rob Green said on Fox's broadcast of the match, referring to the foul that led to Zico's goal being quashed. Alan Shearer wasn't buying the explanation either. Either both are fouls or neither is, but they told us they won't re-referee. The Premier League's all-time leading scorer wrote on social media. Jamie Carragher piled on too, questioning how consistently VAR had actually been applied that night. The Egyptian Federation didn't sit on their hands. They went straight to FIFA. Egypt formally challenged the results of its dramatic round of 16 loss, with the country's football federation calling for a FIFA investigation into referee Francois Letexier and his crew. And in a statement, FIFA President Hani Abo Rida said the federation had submitted a complaint to FIFA, alleging that critical officiating errors and inconsistent decision-making played a major role in Egypt's elimination. They didn't just want an apology either. The federation also asked FIFA to remove the refereeing team from the remainder of the tournament if its investigation confirms the alleged errors. Egypt's coach Hossam Hassan is where things really went nuclear, because he didn't just criticize a decision, he pointed straight at motive. Hassan told reporters he did not want to put it nicely and talk about hard luck. "We have been cheated unfairly today. We have suffered injustice." Then, in a separate interview, he said the quiet part out loud. Speaking later with BIN Sports, Hassan suggested the tournament favourites may have benefited from circumstances beyond the action on the field, saying perhaps they wanted to keep the world champions in the competition. Perhaps they wanted Messi to stay in the running. Other reports put an even sharper word in his mouth. Egypt manager Hossam Hassan labelled the game clearly rigged, while striker Mustafa Zico slammed the officiating as entirely unfair. That's Egypt's head coach and their goal scorer, both on record, both pointing at the same target, a competition they believed was tilted to keep Messi's team alive. FIFA didn't stay silent either. Their top referee official came out swinging in defense of his crew. FIFA's chief of refereeing, Pierluigi Collina, said, "Nobody can question the integrity of the FIFA World Cup match officials," warning that when this happens, it may provoke reactions that lead to threats against them and their families. This is not right. In another statement, he was even more direct about shutting the theory down entirely. Collina completely dismissed the rigged claims, saying nobody can claim that FIFA refereeing can be influenced by anyone. But by then, the damage was done. The FIFA statement had already put it in writing that they weren't going to just move on. The Egyptian Football Association said it cannot remain silent after what it believes was unfair and biased officiating in Egypt's 3-2 round of 16 loss against Argentina. And the stats crowd jumped on it too, building the case with numbers instead of just outrage. Supporters of the theory circulated statistics online, arguing that despite committing a significant number of fouls during the tournament, Argentina received comparatively fewer yellow cards and appeared to benefit from more favorable VAR decisions than other teams. So now you've got a head coach calling it rigged, a captain and striker backing him, a federation filing an official complaint, ex-pros on live broadcasts questioning it, and a hashtag ready stat sheet floating around the internet, all pointing the same direction, that Argentina, and by extension Messi, kept getting the benefit of the doubt. That's the exact fire Ronaldo's Instagram like walked straight into 11 days later. Now, none of this lands the way it did if it's any two players. It landed because it's Ronaldo and Messi, and these two have been finding quiet ways to needle each other for close to 20 years. This wasn't the first time one of them let a gesture speak louder than words. Go back to the very first year FIFA rebranded its top individual prize as the best. Messi won it. Ronaldo didn't. And when the voting sheets came out, the pettiness was right there in black and white. Lionel Messi put Cristiano Ronaldo second in the Best FIFA Men's Player Award voting, but the Portugal star did not return the favor to the eventual winner, as Messi claimed the prize for the first time, beating Virgil van Dijk and Ronaldo. Messi gave Ronaldo his vote. Ronaldo didn't give Messi his. Ronaldo and Portugal coach Fernando Santos snubbed Messi entirely, with Ronaldo voting for Matthijs de Ligt, Frenkie de Jong and Kylian Mbappe. Not even a token nod at third place. That's a message, and everyone in football read it exactly that way. Then a year later, both men found themselves in the same room, and neither one bothered to show up for real. They skipped the ceremony entirely, together, without either one having to coordinate it. FIFA president Gianni Infantino was furious with Ronaldo and Messi for their failure to attend that year's The Best Awards ceremony in London. And the absence of Ronaldo and Messi was very much an elephant in the room, and the reason wasn't subtle. The two stars, who have shared the award equally over the last decade, cited schedule clashes, but it is widely believed they chose not to show up after learning the main prize would go to Luka Modric. Infantino was reportedly so annoyed by it that FIFA started looking at ways to make sure it never happened again. According to Spanish newspaper AS, the FIFA chief was instructing lawyers on ways they could legally obligate finalists to attend the event, essentially forcing them to come. Think about that. Two players skip an awards show because neither one is winning, and it's serious enough that FIFA's president starts talking to lawyers about it. That's the level of weight these two carry, and the level of pettiness FIFA has had to manage from both sides for years. The football world didn't let it slide either. Fabio Capello went after both of them publicly, no punches pulled. It is a lack of respect for the players, for FIFA and for the world of football, Capello told TVE. It is possible that they won too much and do not like to lose. In life, you have to be good when you win and when you lose. Diego Forlan piled on too, pointing out that Messi himself had shown up the year before and lost gracefully, so there wasn't really an excuse this time around. Devor Suker, who'd lost individual awards himself back in the 90s, said the same thing in his own words. You have to be a gentleman whether you're winning or losing. That history matters here because it tells you Ronaldo's relationship with FIFA's award season, FIFA's officiating, and FIFA's apparent soft spot for Messi's teams goes back way further than one Instagram like. This is a man who has spent a decade watching FIFA hand things to Messi, trophies, votes, ceremonies, and quietly registering his irritation through gestures rather than statements. A missing vote here, a missing appearance there. And now in his final World Cup summer, a like on a post accusing FIFA of doing it again, this time with an entire tournament on the line, instead of a golden trophy on a stage. So when people online connected the dots between Ronaldo's tap and every year before it where he'd found some quiet way to signal he wasn't with the program, It wasn't a stretch, it was a pattern completing itself, right as his playing career with Portugal in this competition came to a close. So where did all of this actually land? Let's walk through the reaction, because it's split hard. And it says a lot about where the world's football audience stands on Ronaldo, Messi, and FIFA all at once. Plenty of fans took Ronaldo's like exactly the way it looked, as him settling a score on his way out the door. The interaction quickly sparked debate among supporters because of Ronaldo's long-running sporting rivalry with Messi, with some fans interpreting the like as frustration following Portugal's elimination and Argentina's run to the final. That's a fair read. He'd just watched his own World Cup dream end in stoppage time, and 11 days later he's watching the man he's chased his entire career walk out for one more final. But not everyone was cutting him slack for it. One outlet didn't hold back on how it looked from the outside. Ronaldo and Portugal had disappointed in the 2026 World Cup, and not because of referees, they were plain bad. And to like a post accusing without proof that FIFA is helping his biggest sports nemesis, and his team comes across as sour. That's the counterpoint. Portugal's exit had nothing to do with officiating. 19 touches in 90 minutes wasn't a conspiracy. It was Spain's defense doing its job. There's also a version of events where you step back and just look at the officiating record with a level head, and that's worth putting on the table too. The fact is, there have been many calls where people could say Argentina was favored by FIFA, but conversely, one could argue there have been calls that were not as friendly to Argentina. In the end, this is just not a sustainable theory, because there will always be refereeing mistakes, and saying there is blatant help for any team is a bad, unnecessary debate to have. Referees miss things. VAR gets used inconsistently across every single match of a tournament, not just the ones involving Argentina. And Ronaldo himself never actually put his own words behind any of it. That's important to remember through all of this. Ronaldo has not publicly endorsed the specific allegations or explained why he liked the post. No caption, no interview comment, no follow-up post. Just the tap and then silence, letting the internet build the entire story around one gesture. Meanwhile, on the other side of this whole saga, Egypt's federation is still waiting to hear back on the complaint they filed. FIFA hadn't offered them a formal public response through the outlets covering this story, even as Kalina kept defending his officials in public statements. That thread is still hanging, an entire federation waiting for answers about a match that ended their best World Cup run in history. And Messi, he walked out for that final with his team a win away from defending the title, carrying every bit of that Argentina-Egypt baggage with him, whether he wanted it or not. Every question about favoritism, every stat about yellow cards, every coach's quote about being cheated, all of it followed him onto that field in New Jersey, whether the accusations against FIFA held up under scrutiny or not. So here's where it actually lands. Ronaldo's career with Portugal at World Cups is closed. 6 tournaments, 11 goals, 3 continental titles for his country, and the one trophy that got away one more time, this time by a single stoppage time strike. Messi's chapter with Argentina wasn't done yet. He still had one more final in him, whatever people wanted to say about how his team got there. And FIFA is left holding complaints from Egypt, a defensive posture from Kalina, and a viral Instagram like from the one player on earth whose opinion about Messi and fairness was always going to make headlines no matter how quietly he delivered it. 2 decades of chasing each other. One final World Cup ending in tears in Texas. One final World Cup still going in New Jersey. And a single tap on a phone screen that turned Ronaldo's frustration into the story everyone was talking about. Right as the 2 greatest rivals the sport has ever had reached the very last chapters of their World Cup careers on opposite sides of the same tournament.